Hei kaikille, tästä on Paula ja mä oon Fun&Fearless 2017 järjestäjä ja yksi myös puhujista sinä päivänä siellä lavalla. Mutta tänään mä oon täällä esitellekseni teille yhden aivan upean ihmisen. Hän on ihmisiä, jotka on ollut suuresti vaikuttamassa siihen, että mä oon lähtenyt elämään mun unelmieni elämää. Hän on yksi maailman rakastetuimmista ja tunnetuimmista valmentajista ja hänellä on yli 17 vuoden kokemus tältä alalta. Ja hän on myös kirjoittanut 8 kirjaa, jotka on julkaistu yli 28 maassa johtavien kustannusyhtiöiden julkaisemana. Ja hän on myös yksi välittävin ja aidoin ihminen, jota mä oon elämäni aikana tavannut. Ja mä vaihdan pian Englantiin, koska hän puhuu meille Los Angelesista saakka ja on siis englantilainen. Joten mä vaihdan pian Englantiin ja me käydään tää loppuhaastattelu sitten englanniksi. So with no further ado, the one and only Judymay Murphy. Welcome, Judymay.
Thank you, Paula. I'm going to pretend I understood every single word and not just Los Angeles.
Yeah, great. Well, good that you caught that one. Awesome.
That's where I am. Yes.
Yes. So I have a few questions here for you, and that I've got from people, and people have been asking me, how is it that you got to live your dream life, where you are right now, and at the stage where you are living currently?
Okay, first up, it's really important to say that I'm not a natural when it comes to living life amazingly. You know, when you go on Instagram and you see these women and they're just effortless. They are just like out in Costa Rica doing their yoga, and then they're on a plane to somewhere else, and everything's perfect. Everything looks really, really great. I'm not one of those. I've never found life in any way easy. So for me to get to do it, it's not a miracle, but it's very strategic. I had to really work every step of the way at what's going on here. And the great thing was I kind of took notes. I noticed what was working, what wasn't working, what I was learning when I applied it. Was this going to be it? Was this not going to be it? And then I kept teaching it as I went along as well. And so I was able to get those higher and higher rungs to the place where I can't believe that I live the life I live. I mean, I meet school friends now. When you get to a certain age, you start hooking up with your high school girlfriends and meeting and chatting, and they're sort of just like, oh my God, I can't really. I mean, you were so quiet. You were so timid. I mean, you were really nice, but I wouldn't have thought you. I would have thought this girl and this girl. And I'm like, I know, right? So, yeah, so the fact that I live now between, I don't know if that's what you were saying in Finnish, but I live between Los Angeles, California, and I have been living mostly in London, in Covent Garden, beautifully right in the center of Covent Garden. Again, dream come true stuff, right? Not out in the suburbs, but right where it's all happening, right where I really want to be. And now I am also moving to, it's a really, really long-held dream to also have a place in Paris, because I've lived in Paris a couple of times, and my goodness, it did not go well. Back in 1999, I lived in Paris and I was starving. So to get to the place where I couldn't even feed myself, and I was living in like a hallway of someone else's apartment. I had a mattress in the hallway of someone else's apartment, and I had a half-finished manuscript for a novel. That was all I had, really. And I had so few clothes. And as us women know, that is one of the most frustrating things on the planet, to know how you want to look and how you want to show up and not being able to do that on any level. So to get from that to being able to skip between homes in London, Los Angeles, and Paris, and to hang out with the most incredible people. I mean, people who are some of the great creators, politicians, you know, human rights activists, speakers, authors of our time. And oh my gosh, I get to hang out with them. I get to just call them up on the phone and say, hey, you know, do you want to come here? Do you want to come to True Food Kitchen and have a bite? And that, it is kind of crazy. So, you know, if you are believing it, me too.
But it's so good for so many people to realize that it doesn't mean that it's so easy and it comes so naturally, that there is something that you can actually do, that it's not that if you don't feel like it comes naturally to you, then it's not possible. That's not true. So it's so good to hear that.
Yeah, because so many people think that, don't they? They think that this is it, this is my life now, and you can radically change it, like at any stage. Because I've also had times where, you know, I was living one stage of my dream. You know, I was in Dublin. I had a gorgeous apartment. I was a regular on one of the top TV shows as a coach. I had books out around the world, and that was one stage. And then I was just like, you know what? I've done this now. You know, I've written all the actually some of my teenage books are out in Finnish. I wish I could tell you what the names of them are in Finnish, but I actually have them at home. I should bring some with me when I come to Helsinki.
Yeah, definitely. I'll find out the names and I'll let everybody know. Yeah, I'll make a separate post on that one. Definitely.
But like at some point I was just kind of like, yeah, I know this is supposed to be the dream, but I've done that. And a lot of people feel that. They're like, okay, now I'm a mom, or now I'm a whatever it is for you. You know, now I've got my degree. Now I'm clean and sober. Now I have the body that I want. What now? And so it's not always about crisis management and being in the wrong place. Sometimes it's about life's really cool. Now, what's the next stage? Kind of what I call dreaming beyond the dream. How can we take it even bigger and have an even better time?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank you. That was so inspiring to hear your story, or part of your story. I bet there is a whole lot more that you'll tell us later on.
There is. There's a whole lot more that I'll share with you, and there's a whole lot more that I will never share with anyone ever.
Good, because we all have those stories as well. We know what that's about. Good, excellent. But the topic that you're going to come to speak about in Fun&Fearless 2017 is about building your kingdom in high heels and backwards, referring to ballroom dancing. But you're going to let us know how the masculine advice does not work so well for women. Why would you say that?
Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, that's I took that from a quote from Ginger Rogers, who sort of said, well, how come everyone talks about how amazing Fred Astaire is? I did everything that he did, except backwards and in high heels. And the thing is that initially I got a lot of really, really great advice, you know, really great strategies, really great ways to live. Like I was told, you know, get up at 6 a.m. and go for a run on the beach and do incantations. And then I was told, you know, go in and do this and just keep taking all this action. And I did it, and it worked out better than the no action and not getting up until noon that I had been doing up until then. However, that kind of advice is for masculine energy. There's a way that women need to do their lives very differently. We're very different creatures. Our brains are different. As you know, I'm a huge brain geek. Like so many science. We could talk all about how our corpus callosum is different, how the connections between our prefrontal lobes and our limbic system is different. We could talk all about that. But what we really need to know is we are different. We are different. And so for us, instead of doing the masculine thing of completely emptying out in order to refill, that's what the masculine needs to do. It completely empties and then it refills. If you look at, like, why does a man come home from work and he just then does nothing? Because it's all about the all or nothing with the masculine. And if you think about it, that's kind of what they were when they were cavemen. They were all or nothing. It was like boring, 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 boring. Oh my gosh, something to kill, go kill it. Whereas for women, we had to be more kind of consistently, gently on. And so we had to be constantly refilling and putting out and refilling and putting it back out, because we were there having to do lots of different kinds of tasks, minding children, picking berries, foraging, fixing things, making things nice, building a fire. Like, we had to do all that stuff. So we were made to do it in a different way. So even when I say to women, don't empty out really early in the day, fill up early in the day, instead of, you know, doing this big kind of, you know, weightlifting and you know, talking to yourself in a really harsh way. I will make this day mine. Instead of that, why don't you meet some beautiful women for breakfast and just inspire each other with your stories? And why don't you fill up on, you know, amazing quotes, or read? Or it's kind of like, you know, having dessert before dinner. Sometimes you need to do that, you know, do what you need first, fill up first, and then you have something to give. Because as women, we so often are running on fumes and we wonder why we're not enjoying our lives.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, that sounds, that there's so much masculine advice out there, and then we all have been thinking that, oh, this is the only way to go, there is no other way to succeed, I need to copy and I need to do that and that and that exactly. I tried really early morning as well.
What's really fun about that is there's a reason why that is. Like, the masculine has to overprove itself. So when these things are being said, they're being said with so much certainty and so much conviction and so little room for movement. It's like, you must do this or you will forever be poor. This is the only way to eat. This is the only way. And we're sitting there, and because we don't have a lot of conviction ourselves, because we're not getting the results that we want yet, we feel, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Because in order for us to say something like that with that much conviction and that much force, we would need to be in a real crisis situation, and we would need to be rock solid, 100% sure that this was the only way. So when we hear someone else doing that, we believe it, and we don't question it. And then we're running this program, this strategy, whatever it is that we're doing, and then we start to think, oh gosh, this isn't working. I'm not losing the weight, or I'm not meeting the man of my dreams or the woman of my dreams, or I'm not, I'm not making all this money. What can I do? Like, there must be something wrong with me. We go right back to, there must be something wrong with me, that this isn't working out. And this is the big myth that we're gonna just blast that right open. And as you know, Paula, I love to teach like strategies and models, and I'm just going to be teaching model after model after model so that you have as many options as possible, so that you don't have to believe that it's this way or nothing, that you can find a way that doesn't just suit your feminine energy and your way of doing things as a woman, but also within that suits your personality type. And this is something that, a lot of speakers and coaches, as you well know, you're now speaking internationally too, and I'm just so proud of you, like the amazing stuff that you're doing everywhere. As you know, a lot of the speakers they're just not very well trained. They have very broad reach, but not a lot of depth. And the depth is what we as women really, really need. If you think about it, even the way we do conversations, we'll go into like every little thing that we're feeling and everything that we remember and everything that we want. Whereas for men, they're happier with the broader, less deep stuff. But let's live life as us, and rather than trying to fit into some model that doesn't work for us.
Yeah, definitely. It's so true that as women, we often think that when it's not working, it's our fault, and then we need to just push harder because it looks the way that, I just need to push harder. I just need to work harder, rather than just take time and think through the strategies and tactics. What do I do and how do I do it so that it really comes more naturally to me? Yeah, that is so awesome.
Sorry to interrupt you there. I'm just on a flow here. I always feel so inspired.
You go ahead.
The thing is that a lot of people are believing that the dream come true is something that is about a destination. And yes, it is about getting like massive, big, awesome stuff in place. It's about, one of my big goals that I had once was to be on TV all around the world. And that took a long time to be on like 200 plus big TV shows. That took a lot of time. But I made sure that as I was going, I was enjoying myself. And that's the thing, that even if I'd only been, even if you'd just taken one of those TV shows and that day, I said, Judymay, did you have a good day that day? Yeah, I had an awesome day. I had these great conversations. I met these incredible people. I got this great feedback from the people I was talking to. I got to wear this awesome outfit. I was in this incredible city. Like, each day has to live out beautifully. It's not about martyring yourself to a maybe. It's about actually living your life in glory as you create the kingdom.
Yeah, and enjoying it on a daily basis, not just 5% of the time.
That's it, right? How many people live for the weekend or live for that part of the weekend where the kids are asleep and they sit down with a glass of wine? Not good enough. It's like you don't have to, work 6.5 days in order to get a half day that's yours. All 7 days belong to you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. I have a few questions here.
Brilliant.
And that actually goes along with what we've been talking about now. There's a question like, what's the most important advice that you would give to a woman who feels stuck and success only seems like something too good to be true?
Okay, brilliant. First of all, honey, that is so human. Whoever wrote that question in, yes. People feel like it's not abnormal to feel like that. So it's okay to feel stuck, but please don't feel alone in your stuckness. That would be number one, because the worst thing about being out in the cold is feeling like you're out in the cold on your own. Now, once you get your head around that, realize that you're not actually stuck, you're just stopped. And that's proof that your brain is working. The reason that your brain has stopped is because it's getting lots of different messages. It's saying on the one hand, do this. It's getting a message culturally. It's getting a message from your family of origin that still live inside there. It's getting a message from your vision of you as this person. It's getting a message from your vision of you as this person. It's getting another message from how you feel today. So there's all these messages that are kind of clogging up the system. They're all kind of coming together. Like, those old the typewriters, I collect those. I love them. But sometimes if you're typing too fast, if there's too much going on, they get clogged because they can't hit, right? So that's kind of what's going on with your brain when you feel stuck. You're not stuck, you're just stopped. The typewriter is not broken, it's just clogged up for a moment. So you just got to sort it out and get it so it's like one clear voice in your head. And that's actually what we're going to be doing some exercises in that on the day. It's how do you get that one clear voice that's your voice, not the voice of, half you and a little bit your grandmother, like not that, just pure you and living life on your terms. And know that it's just for now. Like once you get clear on that, once you, I personally, please, if you still, here's my promise, if anyone is feeling stopped or stuck by the end of the day after Fun and Fearless, I can say this with absolute courage and certainty because I know that's not going to be the case. But if it is the case, I will sit with you one-to-one on the side of the stage until you are in that place where you are just rock solid on fire for your dream and you know exactly what to do. Because it is just all about getting the thinking sorted. And it's not forever. It feels endless, like anything. Oh my goodness. As Paula, as you know, I was learning to ride a motorbike earlier on this year and came off and broke my arm, and it felt endless to me. Like, do you remember, like, especially when it was supposed to come off after 6 weeks and then I needed to have the cast on for another 4 weeks. I felt like I would never, ever be able to use my arm again. Which arm? Oh, this one, right? So nothing like that's forever. It just feels forever when you're in it. But it's, the turnaround can be really quick. And while you're in that, your job is to be really good to you. Just to say, okay, it's coming. Someone's coming to pull me out of the mud. I'm my own rescue. I'm going to listen to what's being said. I'm going to make that happen. And in the meantime, what do I want to read? Something that simple. In this lifetime, is there a classic novel that I want to read? As you know, I'm a big fan of Pushkin, and I'm actually learning Russian so that I can read Pushkin in the original. And so that's a lot of, what I did when I had my broken arm and didn't have the energy to do anything else, is I would just kind of, snuggle up with a Pushkin short story and say, okay, it's now time for this. And maybe for you, you've been through a lot and it's been growing your strength and growing your ability to be annoyed about not having the dream. That's an important thing to grow your anger, because your anger is a self-protective mechanism. It's very, very important that we have that. And maybe it's just time to be growing that. And what else can you put in place in this time? Because it's not always time for riding motorbikes.
Definitely. So not to worry. It's just that we've stopped at that moment if we feel stuck, and then it's not going to last forever.
And we're going to get you out of it. And it's proof that your brain is working correctly. Because if you were not an intelligent, ambitious person who wanted more for life, you would just call that life. The fact that you are calling it out as a thing that needs to be changed is proof that you are on your way to the dream.
Oh, that's good. So I hope that got the answer for the person who asked the question. And if not, oh, by the way, please do keep sending us the questions for Judymay at the address of info@funandfearless.fi, so that Judymay can cover those and take them into consideration when she's on stage rocking it at Fun and Fearless 2017.
And also for Diane, myself and Diane meet up in gorgeous places around Hollywood every now and then, like Ivy on the Shore and Shutters on the Beach. And she is so excited about meeting you all and answering your questions. So if you've got questions for Diane as well, like we're coming to serve you. We really want for you to be able to live at the level that you want to live.
Definitely. Yes, that's what we're going to be there for you. And then I have a next question. Do we have time for a few more questions before we go?
Let's do it. Let's just do it. Yeah.
Great. I get a question. What, in your opinion, is the biggest mistake a woman can make? And I'm thinking that it's assumed like when we are going forward in our lives and making our dream happen.
The biggest mistake. Okay. So the biggest mistake that you can make, if I'm speaking on a really esoteric kind of level, I would say the biggest mistake you could make is to not make any mistakes. Is to be so fearful and so self-protective that you're not out there doing anything. Okay, but that's the kind of the highfalutin answer. Let me give you a much more practical answer. The biggest mistake that you can make is to invite people into your life or allow people to stay into your life who are sucking on your energy. People who are narcissistic, covertly narcissistic, who on the outside seem to be lovely, but for some reason you just don't feel okay around them. You find yourself kind of taking a deep breath before you speak to them or before you meet them, or people who you'll share some amazing news and they'll suddenly turn it into a win for them, or you'll be excited about something and they'll tell you why you can't do it. Anyone like that, you just got to get them out of the way, because they will just confuse you. They will lower your levels of excitement and certainty about what you are capable of and who you are. They will try and train you into believing that you are someone less. And especially if that matches with your own doubts. Doubts are okay. But if you've got someone around who is training you to believe that those doubts are reality, that is the most dangerous thing. And that's something that, as you know, Paula, that's another of my pet favorites, is to talk about, personality disorders and either coming from the place that most women come from, of being overgivers, or being around people who are overtakers. It's a huge subject, and there is a section planned to talk about that on the day in Helsinki. But for now, just really keep an eye out for that, and remember that you don't owe people anything. If people are not really working for you, you have every right to move them along. Just bless them on their way. I always say that a puppy is not just for Christmas, but some people are. Like, there's some people who you need to really move on and see them rarely or never. And I realize that's tricky if that person is like a spouse or a parent or someone like that. But looking after you and your experience of you, you get to decide who you are. No one else gets to decide that. I don't get to decide that. Paula, you don't get to decide who someone else is. Nobody else gets to decide. That's your job. If you're listening right now, that's your job. And the thing is that you've had so many people with really strong opinions, even culturally. Even when you're looking at a movie, or you're looking at a commercial on TV, or you're listening to someone else share their news, you're being culturally indoctrinated. And that is part of you being told who you are. You get a blank slate. You get to decide, well, no, actually, that doesn't suit me. I'm going to be this instead. I'm just thinking of this fabulous woman in Norway. And when I met her a few years ago, she was already really, really successful, but she felt like she wasn't being her, because she is such a free spirit and she is like outrageously creative. And the way she likes to dress is just completely, like, amazingly over the top outrageous. And she said, well, I can't really be that in Norway. I'm like, well, yes, you can. Norway might not like it at first, or some parts of Norway might not like it, but you do get to do that. And she is now rocking that in the biggest way and making such a splash, and finding all the other people in Norway who needed to be set free by that. So remember that when you start being you, there are a lot of people who you are just automatically going to free by it. I mean, I could be living in Dublin, being like an English teacher or a drama teacher, you know, happily living in suburbia with a husband and kids. And that's a great thing to be, but it just wasn't me. And by me deciding that even though it's difficult, even though I don't know how I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be completely me. I'm going to absolutely express all my Judymayness in all its glory and all its lack of glory and all its mucky bits and all its fabulous bits. I'm going to do that. And then just on the way, automatically, so many women have been set free just by looking at me and kind of going, oh, why don't I do that? Like, there's a woman who actually, Paula, you met in London, and she actually said that to me when we were there in the Groucho Club. She said, you know what? I saw you on the cover of a magazine and I got so angry. I got so annoyed because I had an article inside that magazine and you got the cover. And I said, who is this woman? I have to, like, you know, and it was that kind of energy at first. And then she was like, well, yeah, Judymay did what it took to get the cover and I didn't. How can I do that? So just in very, very simple ways, once you start claiming yourself fully, you are going to find that there's going to be rewards that you wouldn't have been able to dream of up until now. And another mistake, if I'm allowed to talk about 3 different mistakes, a big mistake that women make is they try to work their mission before they've built out their kingdom. The kingdom has to be built first, and then the mission just naturally flows from that. But there are so many women who over-volunteer and give too much of themselves before they have financial freedom, before they've made their own dream come true. Making your dream come true is a huge part of the mission. So I can do a lot more good sitting where I am now than I could back when I was kind of, you know, making an average wage and living a life that wasn't suiting me.
Yeah, that is true. I was just talking today with one of my clients about how there is one person in her life who she just doesn't feel quite right around. And we were talking about how she needs to get rid of that person, not see that person so often and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. But as women, we often feel like that wouldn't be kind, and we over-identify with our kindness. We think that's who we are. No, we are people who are very, very loving, and part of that being loving is being loving to ourselves. And being loving to ourselves sometimes means you're not being kind. It means, you know, drawing a really good boundary and saying, this isn't working for me. So yeah, it's so important.
It's the boundaries are so important. They need to be set and on place so that you get to live your life on your own terms, definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay, one more question. This is more of a comment. I had a comment saying that there is someone who often feels hurt by others and that way finds it very hard to take action. What would you give as an advice for her?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I totally feel you. I absolutely am the same. I used to get closed down by someone just looking at me funny. I mean, seriously, if my mom just kind of like froze just ever so slightly, no one else would notice it. I would notice it and I would massively change how I was doing everything. And I would, even though I changed how I was doing everything, I would still feel terrible. I remember one time back in the early days of my career. So I've been doing this like since about 2001. And I remember in about 2005, you know, as late as that, I was still absolutely being closed down by people being annoyed. So if someone raised their voice and got annoyed, I would take to my bed. And sometimes I wouldn't do anything for 6 weeks. I would just, you know, close. I get it. I can't even find words. I so get that feeling of being hurt.
I know.
And just being like, yeah. So anyway, let me get out of that place for a moment and go into what is this? What is going on? A lot of people believe it's that they're feeling guilty. Now, guilt is an idea of I've transgressed my values. I've done something wrong. But as we know, when we're very, very sensitive and we feel very hurt, we very rarely do things that are wrong. So what is it that's really going on? It's actually a feeling of shame. It's a feeling of I somehow am wrong. I'm somehow just not right in myself. I'm somehow just not okay. There's something shameful about me. I'm too human.
Yeah.
And often when we feel too sensitive, when our boundaries are permeable, when we just let too much in, it's very, very easy for us to go into a shame spiral. Because as you know, it's not like, oh, that hurt. Okay, now I'm going to go over here and eat lunch. No, we don't just drag it over the whole day. We drag it with us for a very, very long time. We wear it. And that really is what we need to take care of. It's okay to feel not okay in the moment, because any signal that you're getting from a negative emotion is a positive signal. It's a signal saying something's not right. You need to look after yourself right now.
Yeah.
Like those signal emotions of anger, sadness, shame, fear, they weren't meant to last for more than a couple of seconds. We were supposed to just use them to identify, oh, wake up here, look at this. This isn't working for you. So that's, what we need to do is we need to look at, well, what exactly is being said and why is it not working for you? Part of it is that you need to work out exactly who you are. If you don't have a strong sense of self, it's very easy to get affected when other people tell you who you are, and it's not a good thing. I remember when people would say things to me like, well, Judymay, you're just so untidy. Now, yeah, it was true, but it would really, really hurt. But now I'm like, well, yeah, you know what? That untidiness comes from having a really creative mind and not believing that things like, books strewn across the bed is a very important thing. And I can afford staff to take care of that. So yeah, I'm tidy, but I'm brilliant. I'd rather be, not naturally tidy and brilliant, but before that comment would have just sent me into a shame spiral. I'm not good enough to even exist and not even be on the planet. Yeah. So part of it is your identity for yourself. Part of it is, just sometimes when you have achieved so much, Grant Cardone, he calls it shut up money. He doesn't. He calls it something much more vulgar than that. But I'll call it shut up money. But it's kind of like, once you get to a certain point, people they come to you and they say, oh, you should do this, or this is wrong with you. And you kind of look at your life and you look at their life and you go, shut up. It can't hurt you. Right? So there's that. It's not the most sophisticated model that I ever teach, but really there's lots of different ways of shoring yourself up, of making yourself feel stronger and more boundaried, where people just can't do that. You can't get hurt anymore. And these days, if someone said something like that to me, I was actually coaching a client last night. She said that someone said to her, she was dreading going into this woman to meet this woman. She had to meet this woman about once every 2 months in her office, in her organization. And the last time she met this woman said, oh, and this client of mine has been doing amazing stuff with getting her body in shape. So she's gone from being massively overweight to really, really, being very close. Like within 2 months, she's going to be not just the weight that she originally wanted, but the weight that she never thought was possible, and be in the body she never thought was possible. But 2 months ago, this woman said, oh, you've lost a lot of weight, but you still need to tone. I mean, it was one of those, right? And my client got just very hurt. And so it was, a great opportunity to be able to look at, well, first of all, what's true about that? Is it true? Because, yeah, she was more focused on losing the weight and she knew she had to tone. And so now we've set her up with some phrases. Sometimes all you're lacking is a good phrase. And so now this woman, if that had something like that is said to her again, she'll say something like, I know what the reality of my body is, and I find that highly inappropriate that you would share it with me. Just because you think it doesn't mean you need to share it. Or just something very, very simple like that. Like, now, why would you say that? Let's ignore the truth or otherwise. Why would you say that? Or even saying something, I have a family member who always oversteps boundaries and always criticizes. And so I say something like, yes, well, you would think that because you've got about 20% of the information. So if she says something like, well, all this flying around the planet that you're doing, you're making yourself very ill. I'm like, yes. Yeah, I'd believe that too if I only had 20% of the information. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's about having a good phrase to fire back, but it's not about engaging. As women, we do far too much justifying of our very existence. So we say things like, oh, yes, but I know that I have to tone up, but I've got a trainer for that, and I'm already doing it. And I can feel a little bit. Look, you can see here, this is toned already. My stomach is much better. rather than that's my business, not yours, you know?
Yeah.
So we've got to identify, you know, who are the healthy people, unhealthy people. So that kind of speaks back to what we were talking about only allowing yourself around the healthy people. If
Yeah.
someone's hurting you, that's a sign that either there's something that's there to be healed. So if I have a friend says something and it hurts, I know that they are absolutely on my side and they are very boundaried. So that is a clear sign to me that I have something that is overly wounded and I need to heal that wound. But if a complete stranger says something to me and it hurts, that is a sign that they are unboundaried and somehow they've gotten in, you know. So I need to then set a better boundary with them. So you work out, is it a wound issue? Is it a boundary issue? And also, you know, is it an identity issue? Is it an achievement issue? So as we can see, I'm loving that we're having this conversation. Is, you know, nothing is ever one answer. And the more information that you have, the more ready you are. Because sometimes you get a piece of really good information and you're told, right, this is it. And you go away thinking, great, now this is it. Now I have this and I will be able to do this thing and I will be safe from poverty. I will be safe from hurt. I will be safe from the wrong relationship. And then you find out that that isn't the right tool for the job and you need something else. But if you only have that one thing, you can feel very let down and you can feel like, oh, it's impossible for me. And you're back to that place of stoppedness where you sort of think, you know, it's not going to work for me. Like if someone has one wealth strategy or one strategy for building a business and they try it and it doesn't work for them, and then they think, well, obviously the fault is me and I will never be financially free. And then they go and then try and be very, very spiritual to make up for that, or very, very loving and very important to the community because they can't be important to the marketplace because they're believing that that was the one way of doing it. There's lots of different ways. It's very easy to sell one way with certainty. It's very easy to say, this is the only way and you must do this and I'm the only person who can train you in this. And I won't do that because it's not true. And a lot of people get hurt with that approach. So that's what I'm loving about the speakers that are going to be there in Helsinki with all of us. We get that. We get that one size fits all. We get that all women are different, as well as, you know, women being different from men, or, you know, even within women, the different kind of energies that we have going on. We get that, and we're willing to look at it. We're willing to dig deep, and that's what I love about these kind of women's days, is that we get to do that. We don't get to just, you know, show off and strut and give a couple of, you know, answers and, you know, get a standing ovation and go home feeling like we're the business. We get to really get the job done.
Yeah, and talk about things and to just open up new opportunities and alternatives and different ways of doing, so that you get to know, like, okay, when you're trying something and if it doesn't work out, then you have, okay, I have this other option. I can still try this one. I can now do that and that and that. And you know that it's never the one or nothing. There's always a way.
Yeah, you just get more nuanced. You can start to see why that doesn't work for me. So it's not a big mystery, because a lot of us are sitting around as women and going, what's even going on? Like, what is this? Why am I in this situation again? Or why is this not working yet? Or, you know, we're kind of in this state of what? So it's really good to get some clarity around that as well, so that we can just calm it down and just enjoy our days.
Definitely. Oh, I thank you so much, Judymay, for taking the time and chatting with us and giving answers to these awesome questions that we got here. And do send in more questions for all of us, the speakers, at the address of info@funandfearless.fi, and we'll make sure to cover those at the event.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing everybody and giving you big hugs, and we're going to have an amazing day. It's going to transform everything. That I can promise you. It really is going to be a game changer.
That's going to be a huge game changer for all of us, basically. Definitely. Thank you, Judymay, and we'll chat soon and see you in Helsinki.
My pleasure. Can't wait to see you all soon.
Bye.